All right, y'all. So the final video for today, we're just going to kind of go, again, quickly through it. The idea is that belief is not just about seeing a miracle happen and believing, right? We see it in the gospel that this isn't true, right? Jesus does all these miracles, people still don't believe. We see it in the Old Testament, right? There's all these miracles that happen. The first thing that Israelites do is they don't believe, right? So then what is belief? Pope Benedict says that belief is a daily choice, right? That everyday conversion from the last video. Choosing to believe in this metaphysical reality that sometimes cannot be seen in that moment, but knowing that it's even more real than the things that can be seen. Even if in your life, wherever you are in your faith life, it's not clear, right? So that's the picture here. Another Gerhard Richter painting. You kind of got that glassy rain effect there where you can tell it's a man, he's wearing a necktie, he's got his glasses, but the whole thing isn't clear. And that's kind of maybe where our vocation is at right now, where you've got an idea of what God wants you to do. You've got an idea of who God is. You've got faith that God has a plan for you, but it's not all quite clear yet, so where do you stand? And what Benedict is trying to get us to say is that to be Christian isn't to wait around until you have 100% certainty and then go about doing the thing. It's about saying, here's where I'm at. It's not clear yet. I still have doubts. I still am not sure about everything. I'm not 100% guaranteed that there is a God or that I know His plan for me. But I'm going to keep trying anyway. I'm going to keep believing anyway. Not blindly, right? Not without any reasons. Because faith, science, reason, they all go together, right? But I'm going to trust in this God even though the picture isn't clear just yet. And the scary thing there, right, and that's why Benedict says it's a risky enterprise, is that there's no guarantees. And that's where doubt kind of comes back in, that perhaps this isn't true. Perhaps I've devoted my life to something that isn't in fact true. And that can be challenging, especially in high school and into college. What if I get it wrong? And we're going to see, again, in the lectures for tomorrow, where that hope and maybe the calming of those fears comes in. But again, let's look at two quotes here, and then we'll kind of call it for today. Benedict says, Christian belief, as we have already said, means opting for the view that what cannot be seen is more real than what can be seen. And again, I just want to return back to that idea of love, right? Is that I know that, in my case, let's say like for my daughter, right? If she wakes up in the middle of the night and she's afraid of something, and she's crying, and I go in at 3 a.m. to console her, right? Yes, okay, that love is demonstrated in the act, and that's true. Like you can look at that act and say, oh, okay, he loves his daughter. But the love was already present before the act, right? And the same thing is true probably in your life. Again, we said with the relationship with your mother, or maybe it's your father or your siblings. Yeah, you can know of their love through the different acts that they do, but the love is not the act itself. The love was pre-existing before that act. And what Benedict is trying to say is that the thing that's actually more real is the metaphysical love, not the physical expression of that love. And the only way to get in touch with the metaphysical reality of that love is to access a different mode of reality, the metaphysical mode of reality, through prayer, through different faith practices that we're going to talk about tomorrow with discernment. And that's the more real thing. And that's really difficult, I think, for the modern person to take in, that the metaphysical is more real than the physical, because we are a very material, physical culture, right? We like the material things. We like being able to touch something, to taste something, to feel it, to know it's there with us and it's real. So how do we start cultivating that? Well, the next quote kind of gives us some help, right? Pope Benedict says, it is an avowal, belief. Belief is an avowal of the primacy of the invisible as the truly real, which upholds us and hence enables us to face the visible with calm composure, knowing that we are responsible before the invisible as the true ground of all things. Okay, so one non-religious example, and then, again, a religious example. So again, let's take something like love or courage as our non-religious example here, right? So again, whether it's my love for my daughter, right, or you could say like courage of a soldier in the face of an enemy in a great battle, right? That courage is the more real thing, even though it may not even be visible on the soldier's face. Maybe visibly he looks scared. Maybe visibly he's tired. But that he continues to fight even though the battle might seem dire or unwinnable, right? The courage is present even in the face of maybe some non-physical evidence for it. Or again, the love, that the love pre-exists the actions there. That's the true ground of things, not necessarily the physical things. It doesn't mean that the physical things are bad. It doesn't mean the physical things are wrong or misleading. It just means that the truly real things kind of go beyond that. So the religious example, take for instance the Catholic understanding of the Eucharist. It looks like a piece of bread, it looks like wine, it tastes like bread, it tastes like wine, but the truth of it extends beyond the physical thing, right? So in the idea of transubstantiation, we say yes, accidents, right? That it looks like bread and wine, but what it really is in its substance is the body and blood of Christ. Well, what does that even all mean? Well, it's tough to say, right? Without that first act of the will, that first being open to receiving something beyond the physical. And the only advice I can give to you, if you're someone that's on the fence about this whole idea, is to put it into practice. And I really do mean this. And I know it's kind of an awkward moment in our lives because masses have been canceled, and so you can't actually practice this right now. But if you have any doubts about the power of the Eucharist as a real reality that goes beyond the physical, I'd say go to adoration. Spend an hour in adoration, right? Or go to Mass more than once a week. Go to confession if you haven't been in a while. And you'll start, the more that you do these things, the more you'll notice how powerful they really are, that these metaphysical things have a real reality to them that goes beyond the physical. But the same idea with, again, riding a bike, is that if you never, in fact, do them, if you never practice them, well then it's going to be very difficult to see the effect, right? That if you've never taken off the training wheels and then you say, well, it's impossible to ride a bike because I've only ever used the training wheels. Well, of course it is, because you haven't done the things necessary to then take the training wheels off. And I remember when my friend Ian was learning to ride a bike, he hit nearly every tree at Metairie Playground because he was just so bad at riding a bike. But eventually, right, you take the training wheels off, you stop helping him steer, and he learns to ride a bike, and he can assume 20 years later still ride a bike. But the point with faith is this, and we'll see this in the next video, that there's some things that we do in our lives that not only are they're not the things of faith and belief, but they actually hurt us, right? So again, if the Crescent City Classic was actually happening, I can't just eat junk food for the next month and hope to run a really great time in the Crescent City Classic. I've got to be eating good things as well as practicing my racing, right? The same thing is true in the spiritual life. It's good if you're praying. It's good if you're going to Mass. But if there's other things in your life that are stopping you or hurting you from practicing your faith, well, that'll also have an effect. And so we're going to start the spiritual exercises tomorrow, Thursday. And one of the first things Ignatius says is that if you're a guy going from mortal sin to mortal sin, it's going to be difficult to discern. It's going to be difficult to practice faith. It's going to be difficult to find the things of belief and faith because you're stuck in the mortal sin phase. You're not taking the training wheels off the bike, right? You're stuck in that past behavior. And so the first thing he's going to have us do is identify those spots and get rid of them. So what I want to have you do then in preparation for that tomorrow is not necessarily write down what spots you think you need to get rid of, what things that hold you back from God, but consider, where are you in that? Are you someone that is going from mortal sin to mortal sin? This is Ignatius's language, where you need to first, before you can even begin to ride the bike, you got to figure out where you are. Are you still have the training wheels on, right? Or are you someone that's ready to kind of take the next step, right? To ride the bike by yourself, right? Without maybe someone helping you or guide you along. And we'll get that a little bit more tomorrow. But for today, just kind of consider that. Don't forget to do the end questions. And if you have any questions, post them on the discussion board. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.